I desperately parry the oncoming fists. Okay, hang on. I'm assuming it is for our boy. Interesting. Allows for calm analysis of the situation and the enemy's ability in spite of danger, and consideration of all possible actions in a particular situation. If there is even a 1% chance of a comeback, this ability greatly improves the chances of success. Yeah, no, that is a very Shiro-like ability. Even through time. Oh, at higher ranks. Okay, so not what he had. Okay, never mind. I was like, what? Like what? No details still. I'm actually very interested in reading the details page once we actually find out it's Shiro. Because I very much want to read if it gives any like more detail on his background. Okay. Kusugi's fists are live snakes. Even if I barely dodge them, they change their paths to come bite me. That's why Saber was seriously wounded. Saber was bitten by Kusugi's snakes because she had the reflexes to dodge them. But I don't have such reflexes. I can't dodge them, and first of all, I can't even see his fists. I can't dodge them when I can't even see his fists. That's just the... Okay. My shoulder. Kusugi's fist grazed my left collarbone. It's just like a bush hammer. It feels as if my shoulders are being crushed, and I almost dropped my swords. I bear it and parry the fist going from my temple using the sword in my right hand. I desperately retreat. I pitifully retreat while Kusugi closes in, not revealing any hints of how he advanced. I shudder at his stance. I won't be able to withstand the next attack. It's miraculous that I was able to parry the attacks until now. It doesn't feel real. I hoped that I'd be able to protect myself and buy time for Tosuka until she defeated Caster. But such hope disappeared after I took the first blow. Kusugi Soichiro took our previous battle into account. I was able to fend off Kusugi as he attacked Tosuka back then. So I thought I'd be able to fend him off again if I had Archer's twin swords. But, in other words, it means that I won't be able to do anything without them. Kusugi knows that. What he did first in this battle was try to take the swords away from me. The sword in my right hand is destroyed. The fist, strengthened with Caster's magic, shatters my sword with a few blows. I immediately reproduced a short sword. I can't hope for high results with a forced projection, a quickly prepared sword. As a result, the twin swords start to lose their precision. Okay, it was just him, like, hurting. It's fine. I can't breathe right. I frantically block Kusugi's fist with the short swords. I just follow the twin swords. In copying Archer, and Miyashiro's limbs have far exceeded the limits of his body. And then there's this headache. Something is scraped away inside of me every time I project something. It's not the sensation of using up magical energy. It feels like my precious magic circuits are disappearing one by one. every time I make a sword. I'm almost all out. I might be able to make 2 more. I'll die when my magical energy runs out. But first of all, can I stay alive until my magical energy runs out? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm flung away. Kusuke's right fist, the fist he hadn't been using, was suddenly thrust like a lance. I shielded my chest with my blades. In that instant, my swords were destroyed, and the impact flung me away. I feel something hard in my back. I must have been pushed back about 5 meters. I try to draw a breath and realize that I can't. The penetrating impact has numbed my heart. I can't breathe and I can't move. It's only for a few seconds. In the few moments it takes my heart to resume its work. The devil approaches. This is it. This man could kill me if I dropped my guard for only a second. With me like this, he has time to do it 6 times over. I glare at the enemy. Even if my limbs won't move, there's something I can do. First of all, I'm not suited for melee combat, and Miyashiro's weapon has always been his magic. Then, it's not over yet. My role is to keep Kusuke busy. I can't give up without fulfilling my role. The sound didn't come from right in front of me. The image of the sword disappears from my mind. Kusuke, who is approaching to twist off my neck, stops. Something is happening behind Kusuke. It happened to Castor, with the altar behind her. Yeah. Ren was like... Tosik is also at a disadvantage. No, her burden is greater. She fully understands the difference in their powers. Castor points her finger with a composed expression. The magic is Arrow, Plague Wind. Castor doesn't need to cast her magic. For a witch that lives in the Age of Gods, incantations are unnecessary to connect herself with the world. Castor is always surrounded by divine mysteries of ancient lore. For Castor, magic is something she commands. It is just like ordering her guard dog to attack. She nullifies it with her treasured jewel. She doesn't have time to cast a spell, and she cannot match Castor with simple magic from the Magic Crest. Their skills as magi are as far apart as heaven and earth. To bridge that gap, she must use the power that she's spent a long time gathering. Crystallization of magical energy that she has stored since she was born as a magus. For this battle, she's prepared to use all 9 jewels remaining from the original 10.
けなげに頑張ること。そんな奥な手があるとは思わなかったわ、お嬢さん。
That's high praise. Even though her magic is nullified by pure magical energy, Castor keeps her smile. Castor can continue using magic indefinitely. Well, the girl must oppose Castor using jewels as amplifiers. The difference between them is self-evident. No matter how many jewels she might have, it cannot be more than 10 or 20. There's no way Castor can be defeated with such a small arsenal. She nullifies the electric charge with the 7th jewel. She has 6 jewels left. With 6 more spells from Castor, her last resort will be exhausted.
あら、綺麗に防ぎきるのね。 本当にけなげ。自分だけ守っていれば石を使い切ることもないでしょうに。
She doesn't react to the giggling voice and takes out another jewel to get ready for the next attack. As Castor says, the jewel will not break if she uses it to protect only herself. The jewel should be able to protect her about 3 times. But she cannot do that. Castor's magic covers the whole temple once it is cast. Kusuke should be protected by Castor, but he is an exception. If she cannot nullify Castor's spell before it is completed, Emiya Shiro, who is keeping Kusuke Suichiro busy, will burn and die. Therefore, it is meaningless to protect just herself. She cannot allow him to die like that. And besides, the whole plan revolves around Shiro keeping Kusuke busy.
まだ守りきるつもり？大した信念ですけど、それもいつまで持つかしらね。受けてばかりでは結果は見えていてよ、お嬢さん。
You'll get what's coming to you. Castor moves her finger. She makes the first move this time. Her jewels will run out and she'll be killed if she keeps defending. Castor's magic and her jewels. The magical energy contained in them is the same, so it means she can beat Castor if she makes the first move. But there's no way to exceed Castor's spellcasting. If Tosaka Rin is the fastest because she can perform magic directly by releasing the jewels, Castor is also the fastest, as she's capable of creating divine mysteries with one word. There is no first move in their battle. This is merely a clash of power against power. The first one to run out of magical energy will die. Then... she just needs to force her way through. She unleashes a barrage of jewels to penetrate Castor's magical energy. Jewels 5, 3, and 4 are released in succession. Why not 3, 4, and 5? Or 5, 4, and... I guess so. Okay, I guess it makes sense. Like, but why? Okay, whatever. I don't care. Whatever. Also... Moreover, she uses the treasured fourth jewel to add a synergistic effect. This magic is beyond her limits. You can't use magic surpassing your own level. The one who said so is breaking the rule to execute this attack. The attack will destroy not only the temple, but the whole church if Castor does not defend against it. But the witch in purple blocks it like nothing. No, she didn't just nullify it. Castor has swallowed all of her magical energy inside of her robe. Tosaka stands there in astonishment. Behind her, she can hear the sound of his defeat. Sounds of breaking swords and his body slamming against the wall. The match is about to be settled. She has nothing she can do and her body sways. She staggers forward as if overwhelmed by despair.
あら、これで終わり？まだ手持ちの宝石はあるのでしょ？諦めずになくなるまで試してみたら？
That's reason. She has no spirit to answer her. No matter how many jewels she may have, that was her greatest attack. If even that attack is useless, then she cannot hurt Castor even if she has 100 jewels.
そう。ようやく理解したようね。 何をしようが私にはかなわないと。けれど楽しくはあったわ、お嬢さん。魔術を競い合うのは久しぶりでしたからね。ええ。それだけでもあなたに価値を与えましょう。
Is that a good thing? She stops herself from falling, holds in her nausea with her hand, and glares at Castor.
悔しい？けれどこれが現実よ。むしろ誇りなさい。遊んであげたとはいえ、あなたはこの私に魔術戦をさせたのだから。
Then Castor points at her, as if to pronounce her death sentence.
消えなさい。あの坊やが私のマスターに倒されるのは時間の問題。その前に、こちらもそろそろ終わりにしましょう。
Castor slowly whispers her death. That opening. She's been waiting for this. She only needs to say one phrase to release it. She hangs her head and smiles as she murmurs. I doubt my own eyes for a second. Yeah? Tosaka and Castor. Their battle of magic has ended with Tosaka's defeat. Yeah. But what happened next? Tosaka slowly staggered forward as if asking for Castor's forgiveness, and Castor released her magic to finish her off. At that instant, Tosaka nullified the magic. That's fine. That's not surprising. The surprise came after that. Tosaka charged in and attacked Castor. Tosaka throws herself into Hellfire. Nullifying the magic and using it as cover, she attacks Castor. Castor's surprise is that of a Magus. She could not have predicted that a Magus, defeated in magic, would attack with bare hands. I didn't expect it either, so it must be like heresy for Castor, who is an excellent Magus. And it's not just some desperate move. Tosaka closes in and hits Castor in the chest with a move from Chinese martial arts. A shattering sound. Tosaka's fist must be strengthened like Kuzuki's, as her attack easily penetrates Castor's defense.
魔術師のくせに殴り合いなんて。
怖い肉様、今時の魔術師ってのは護身術も必修科目よ。
I'm fascinated by her combination. Tosaka drops after the first attack. Putting her hands on the floor, she sinks below Castor's knees. To Castor, who lacks any experience in hand-to-hand combat, it must look like Tosaka disappeared. She executes a strong sweep. She lashes out her foot with all her might as if to smash Castor's legs. That was a very girlish squeal. Her feet swept from beneath her. Castor lands on her back. But it doesn't end. After the sweep, Tosaka gets up with her back turned to Castor, uses the turning momentum to attack with her elbow and... Stopping her turning, Tosaka punches with all her weight. Castor's body is knocked away. Taking the punch directly, Castor is smashed into the wall like me. her back to the wall, Castor moans dizzily. They're separated. Tosuka kicks the ground to cover the few meters in between them. The match is settled. Castor cannot move and her wound seems fatal. The battle only lasted a moment. The match is decided within 5 seconds after I was smashed into the wall by Kuzuki. Castor doesn't have the energy to fight back. Tosuka runs to Castor with saber-like speed and executes her finishing blow. Strengthening of a few seconds using magic. Tosuka intended to fight Castor like this from the start. Castor only saw a Magus in Tosuka. She challenged Castor at magic so that she could achieve her one-time surprise attack. And the plan worked. Castor's been deceived and has lost completely. Tosuka has won the battle. Yes.
Yeah, そこまでだ, Tosaka.
If not for this man's monstrous ability. If Tosuka ran to Castor like a hurricane, he ran like the devil's wind. Tosuka stops. Kuzuki Soichiro, the one who was in front of me until now, is standing in front of Castor. Tosuka moves. The instant Tosuka feels death, jumps back and shields herself. Kuzuki's attack that blew me away strikes Tosuka in the face. That's gotta hurt. She guarded her face with both her arms and jumped back, but she still sent flying. Tosuka smashes into the wall opposite me, her arms dangling as if broken.
勝機を逃したな。4度打ち込んで殺せなかったお前の未熟だ。
He speaks plainly. But that's not Tosuka's fault. The reason she lost her chance is because of me. If I had kept Kuzuki busy, Tosuka would have beaten Castor. This is my fault. My weak fighting skills weren't able to stand up to Kuzuki's ability, and our once-in-a-lifetime opportunity was lost. Are you sure about that? Castor regains consciousness. Protected by Kuzuki, Castor looks around the temple. This is it. The surprise attack won't work on Castor anymore. Tosuka's tired, and I can only project 2 more swords. If Castor uses her in this situation, we will never make it out of here alive.
感謝しますわ、マスター。あなたがいなければ、あのまま倒されていました。
Oh yeah, it's real fucking annoying too.
世辞はいい。今はセーバーを起こせ。甘く見ていい相手ではなさそうだ。
ええ、的確な判断ですわ、マスター。
Castor points to the woman on the altar. The visible binding of the curse. And when Castor tries to release it...
ああ。それがあと数秒ほど早ければな。
Above me, I hear a soft voice from the stairs leading up. It's Castor that notices the strange event first. Kuzuki doesn't notice. It's because Kuzuki cannot detect magical energy. Castor moves. Above her master. Above Kuzuki Soichiro's head are floating numerous swords.
Soichiro!
She must have figured out that her injuries will prevent her from blocking them with magic. Castor uses her body to protect her master.
Torres.
The murmuring voice from above says those words. The sounds end. The swords appearing in midair come down at one target and pierce one body. The numerous blades rip and tear the meat, then disappear like an illusion. What's left are traces of blood. It, having become his shield of her own free will, she now turns her bloody body to the man behind her. Kuzuki is silent. In front of him is the skewered servant. Maybe there's no need to hide it now. The robe is removed from her head, and the woman walks over to her master with a bare face. Her body is collapsing. With a dying body, the woman who looks up at her master has not twitched a brow. Her slender fingers run across the expressionless face. Okay. Her voice seems clear. There's no change in Kuzuki. He only answers with a simple yes and does not even look at Castor.
よかった。あなたに死なれては困ります。
She looks as if it's fine. No. The woman smiles, knowing what kind of a man he is.
でも残念です。やっと望みが見つかったのに。
The fingers running along his cheek fall down. Beginning at her toes, Castor's body is disappearing.
悲嘆することはない。お前の望みは私が代わりに果たすだけだ。
She smiles at the simple answer. She smiles as if seeing a short-lived dream.
それはダメでしょうね。だって私 I didn't mean to さっきまで叶っていたんですから。Damn it! I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
The witch collapses as if going to sleep. The purple robe falls. The robe without its wearer fades and disappears as if following her. Kuzuki does not even look at her. His attention is focused on the man above. The knight in red who should be above me. I get a headache. It's not just because I've abused projection. The muttered spell. The spell he said is smashing my brain with nausea. Trace on. That's what he said. He said the exact words of the spell that shouldn't be used by anyone else but me. Archer comes down the stairs and stands in the temple. Osaka's watching him with surprise.
あーちゃん、もしかしたらって思ってたけど、そういうこと？
Archer doesn't answer. He is only watching his enemy, Kuzuki.
獅子心中の虫か。初めからこれを狙っていたな。アーチャー。
Yep.
ああ。だがどちらかといえばトロイの木馬だろう。倒すべきがギリシャの英傑であったのだからな。例え話としてはそちらの方がふさわしい。
you know, I would be very, very interested in a manga or an anime or even a game that covers Emiya Archer's adventures as a counter guardian. Like this, it just seems so intriguing to me. Like, which Greek hero? Like, is he talking about Ajax himself? Or is he talking about, like, Odysseus, who came up with the Trojan horse? Like, who is he referring to? Like, who did Archer end up killing later? Like, I don't know. Archer shows no guilt even though he's betrayed Castor in front of us.
そうか。お前のような男を引き込んだキャスターの落ち度だったな。
Yeah. Kusuke does not change his tone even in front of a betrayer. He still has the will to fight. He is not a magus and he's lost Castor, but he has the will to continue fighting. He readies himself. As Castor is gone, Kusuke's strength must have dropped substantially. His snake is still there, but Castor's strengthening that made his fist into steel is gone. But still, Kusuke faces Archer like before.
そうか。続けるというのなら止めはしない。
Archer readies his twin swords. Their duel has begun. Is that alright? Kusuke said he has no interest in the Holy Grail. A master in name only, he merely went along with Castor. Then there's no reason for him to fight now that Castor's gone. You know, maybe Kusuke's not as entirely, well, I mean, you kind of know this from HA actually, but he's not as entirely heartless as he seems.
待て、どうして続けるんだ、クズキ。あんたはキャスターの言いなりになってただけだろう。キャスターはもういないんだから、戦う理由はないはずだ。
I glare at them, gritting my teeth against the pain. Kusuke narrows his eyes a bit.
そうだ。戦う理由などない。お前と同じく、私は聖杯などに興味はなかったからな。な
ら。
だが、これは私が始めたことだ。それを途中でやめることなどできない。
That's it. That's all the reason he has. The battle starts. The battle should end in one blow. Even if Kusuke has superhuman fighting abilities, he's fighting a servant. He can't be a match just by being superhuman. Even though this is called a battle, it is actually just disposal of the loser. The fate of the loser. It is the battle between masters to kill and be killed. And that is the end they have to be ready for. One shouldn't fight at all if he can't accept that. But still. Now, I'm actually unsure. I'm assuming one of the... Wait, no. I'm pretty sure... Because there's only one bad end in UBW left. I don't know if it's here or not. But Shiro, I don't know. I'll try stopping them, I guess. If I can save him. Is it wrong to want to prevent his death if I can? I don't care if I'm called soft-hearted. I know it's just hypocrisy. To defeat another master means killing them. We fought, prepared to kill each other. I know how unfair it is to stop them now. But still, I decided to fight so that I could save people. I can't ignore a life that can be saved.
やめろ。勝負はついた。これ以上は。
I suppressed my headache and tried to stop them. At that instant, Kuzuki moves. Kuzuki must have taken my voice as a signal, as he rushes Archer in a flash and lashes out at his temple. Any ordinary man would have his skull crushed, but Archer doesn't dodge it. His head moves from the impact. The knight in red takes Kuzuki's blow and pierces Kuzuki Suichiro's chest at the same time. I don't know if Archer did that mockingly, like, yeah, your blow does nothing, or out of respect. Hard to say. There's only silence. I don't think that choice matters. I assume the actual, like, the last bad end is probably later. There's only silence. Nobody says anything. And I have nothing to say in any case. Kuzuki Suichiro died. He was silent until the very end, and he died on the path he chose without showing regret or hope. I have a headache. Is my magic circuit compressing my nerves? Windows, I don't want to finish setting up my device. I've done everything I want to do. God damn it, Windows. Or can I not forgive Archer for killing Kuzuki? Or am I pissed at myself for not having the right to say anything to him? I can't tell. And my headache only gets worse. I turn around at the sound. With Castor's disappearance, the bonds must have broken. Saber's on the floor in front of the altar. Saber painfully breathes on the floor. That makes me forget about my headache.
Saber!
I run to her. Even this short distance is an annoyance. Oh. Oh man. She raises her head. Saber sighs in relief as she sees me run to her and... She tackles me with her shoulders and pushes me away. She pushes me forcefully to the side. My body flies for a few meters and lands on the ground. I land on my back. I shake my confused head and look up. At that instant, I hear steel hitting steel. Oh, she recovered quickly enough to get her armor on? Why do I... Hang on, that doesn't make sense. I could swear she still has the dress on until... I don't know. Until she makes a contract with Rin. Saber's there, fully armored. And... numerous swords lie on the floor right where I was standing before Saber tackled me.
外したか。
He says in a bored voice, facing Saber. Saber, who can barely keep her body standing, glares at Archer. I don't even need to ask why she's glaring at him. He shot those swords from behind to kill me. Saber saw that and instantly pushed me away. Yeah. Tasuka watches him in astonishment, and Saber readies her sword while breathing heavily. Their situations are different, but they both have wonder in their eyes. Why is Archer trying to kill Emiyashiro when Castor's dead already? The only calm ones are Archer and I. It's not that surprising. We hated each other from the start. We opposed each other, unable to get along. I don't know why, but I just cannot approve of him. The reason behind it, if that is really the reason for us not being able to approve of each other, it is natural for him to want to kill me. I mean, I guess so. I get up. Saber must have been desperate. She tackled me without holding back, so I can't breathe properly. That just makes me more determined. This is all she can manage when she tackled me with all her might. She doesn't have enough power left in her to even fight me. I don't know about that. Actually, well, maybe. It's suicidal for her to confront Archer in such a state.
Archer, 何のつもり?
Tasuka draws near Archer. It's natural. Archer switched to Castor's side to attack her by surprise. Now that it succeeded, there's no reason for him to attack me. But there is.
芝居はもう終わりでしょ? キャスターは倒したんだから、もう勝手な真似は許さないわよ。
Yeah, just because he's not Castor's anymore, he's also not yours. So, yeah, you know.
許さない?わからないな。なぜ私が許されなければならないのだ?私のマスターでもないお前に。
はーちゃん?
お前との契約は切れている。自由になった私が自ら進んで人間の手下になると思うのか?
I mean, after staring up at the night in astonishment, Tasuka gasps in sudden realization.
まさか、あーちゃん。
私は私の目的のためだけに行動する。だが、そこにお前がいてはいささか面倒だ。
What? Tasuka jumps back. She gets away from Archer, tries to run towards me who's still on my knees, and her movement is stopped cold. A swarm of swords about 2 meters high. They pierce the ground, drawing a circle and become a circular prison. It's a circle big enough for one person to fit in. And Tasuka's trapped inside.
ここまで来て邪魔はさせん。契約が切れた今、お前にかけられた0時の縛りも存在しない。
Yeah.
キャスターについた理由はそれだけだ。あの0時を無効にするためには、契約を破棄せねばならなかったからな。
Turning his back to the imprisoned Tasuka, Archer starts to walk. Not towards Saber, but towards me, still on my knees.
やっぱり、なんでよ、あーちゃん。あんた、まだシロを殺すつもりなの?
そう。自らの手で エミやシロを殺す。それだけが守護者となり果てた俺のただ一つの願望だ。
何？
Power returns to Saber's body. She musters her strength and moves between Archer and me.
アーチャー、あなたはまさか。
I'm guessing this is where Saber figures it out.
そうだ。いつか言っていたな、セイバー。俺には英雄としての誇りがないのかと。無論だ。そんなものがあるはずがない。この身を埋めているのは後悔だけだよ。俺はね、セイバー。英雄になどならなければよかったんだ。
The aggression fades from Saber. What did she figure out? Her enmity towards Archer is gone.
そういうことだ。聞いているがいい、騎士よ。マスターがいない身で無茶をすればすぐに消えるぞ。もはやエミやシローにはマスターの資格がない。肩入れしたところで君の望みには届かない。
This is another one of those things where, like, I really wish Archer post accepting Shishiro, you know, after their fight, I really wish him and Saber could have talked. Like, truly just talked. Just like I wish him and Shiro could have talked. Cause, like, there's so much I'm sure Archer would have liked to talk with Saber about. I don't know, or at least, or vice versa even. Like, I don't know.
それはできない。マスターで亡くなったとしても契約は消えない。彼を守り、剣になると誓った。聖杯戦争など知らなかった彼は、それでも私の一方的な誓いに応えてくれた。その信頼を裏切ることなどできない。
She readies her invisible sword. But I don't see the usual valor or strength in her stance.
そうか。ならば、偽りの主ともども、ここで消えろ。
Twin swords appear in Archer's hands. Saber can't even take those swords right now.
バカ！逃げろ、セイバー！
I get up and reach for Saber. Did you do it to get away from my reach? Saber pulls herself together, kicks the ground, and charges at Archer. The battle ends after a few blows. Saber, the one who overwhelmed Archer before, falls to her knees, unable to stand for even a few seconds. The sword isn't even in Saber's hands now. After resisting Castor's command spell for so long, she has no magical energy left. Unable even to breathe, she puts her hands on the floor, desperately trying to hold her disappearing body together. It hurts Archer. Archer raises his swords. The twin swords are swung down onto Saber. And... I jump in from the side and stop them using all my might. Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. I ready my twin swords. I hold the instantly projected weapons and glare at the knight in red.
おう。あとしばらくはおとなしくしていると思ったがな。さすがに目の前で女が殺されるのは 耐えられないか
You
ら。
should know that better than anyone, Archer.
うるさい。お前が殺したがってるのは俺だろう。なら相手を間違えるな。
I confront him. We both have twin swords in our hands. Our physiques are different, but our stances are the same in every regard.
人真似もそこまで行けば本物だ。だが、お前の体はその魔術講師に耐えられるかな？
A sneering voice. My limit is near, as he says. My headache doesn't stop, and my magic circuit has its limiter full from all the projection magic. My brain will explode before I get slashed if I fight him while retaining the image of the twin swords.
前に忠告したな。お前に投影は扱えないと。分不相応の魔術は身を滅ぼす。お前をここまで生かしてきた奇跡の代償。ここで支払うことになったな。エミヤシロ。
Archer charges in.
黙りやがれ、てめえ!
To that, I frantically move my swords as if slashing my headache away. I swing my arms. My techniques are all a copy of my enemy's. My weapon is copied, and my technique is copied. Therefore, I cannot match him. I couldn't match him even if I were in top condition. An imitation can get close to the original, but never surpass it. Ah, that's where you're wrong, Shiro. That's where you are wrong. I could not match this man from the start. The man told me to drown in my ideals and die. I think that's the fifth time it's been mentioned? Or something like that? Maybe not 5, maybe like 3 or 4, but still. The man said that my life is a false life. I could not object to those words because he was my ideal. A power to make the impossible possible. An existence that saved many people and became a heroic spirit. It was I who wanted to become such a person. That's why I can't match him. The man in front of me is the end of that road. He is my ideal. Becoming strong to save people, so... My swords shatter. I was able to block his attacks, but my twin swords disappear. I can't stay conscious. My body isn't hurt, but my insides are bleeding and about to give out.
納得がいったか。それがエミヤシロウの限界だ。無理を積み重ねてきたお前にはふさわしい幕切れだろう。
He raises his sword. As I try to figure out with my dazed mind if the sword will come down from the right or the left.
告げる。汝の身は我が元に、我が命運は汝の剣に。聖杯の揺れに従い、この断りに従うのなら。
Tosca's gallant voice echoes through the temple. That must have caught his attention. The sword slows down a bit. If that's the case, I can dodge it even with a body like this. I roll on the floor and get away. Archer clenches his teeth but looks at Saber instead of pursuing me.
我に従え。ならばこの命運、汝が剣に預けよう。
Tosca reaches out towards Saber from within the prison of swords. Saber runs to her using her last power and...
セイバーの名にかけ誓いを受ける。あなたを我が主として認めよう、リン。
A contract that should have originally been made. Saber finally obtains a master that is appropriate for her. Violent wind rages. She must have gotten back her true powers by obtaining a true master. Saber's unlike anything she was before. I'm not the only one that gasped. Even Archer's fascinated. Rising swirls of magical energy and armor that can never be damaged. There seems to be no end to this overwhelming power. This is Saber. The heroic spirit of the sword, said to be the strongest servant.
モートよりリンと再契約させるつもりだったが、いささか手順が違ってきたか。
Yeah. Archer murmurs while looking at Saber. He must not have enough to spare to pay attention to me now.
それで、どうするセイバー？リンと契約した以上、君は本当にエミヤシロとは無関係になったわけだ。
It's not true. That's not true at all.
言ったはずです、アーチャー。素人の誓いはなくならないと。
Saber's firm. Archer clucks his tongue and grips his twin swords again.
あなたこそどうするのです、アーチャー。あなたが白を手にかけるというのなら、私は全力でそれを阻む。考え直すのなら今のうちです。今の私を相手にして勝機があるとは思わないでしょう。
I don't know about that. Saber's warning is true. Saber would not lose even to Berserker now. No matter who he may be, Archer cannot match Saber. He should know that more than anyone, but...
たかだか魔力が戻った程度で、よくもそこまで強気になる。
Well, because she, you know... Whatever. Archer charges. Their weapons clash. Archer charges in at Saber like a red bullet and attacks her with all his might. Saber receives a blow like nothing. Neither the size difference nor Archer's momentum matters. Saber repels Archer's swords without flinching. Hang on, is she updated yet? I don't think so, right? No, she is. Her strength is... Everything... Okay, everything... God damn! Damn! Hold up. I just wanna... see something here. Saber... Stats. Okay, under Emiyashiro, okay. I want to bring it up just so I could say the exact things, okay? So her abilities are the same, or her class abilities I should say, but her stats. Strength has gone from B to A. Okay, Berserker's is A+, but again, there's more to a fight than just, you know, pure strength. Her endurance has gone from C to B. Agility, C to B. Magical energy from B to A. Luck from B to A+. And Noble Phantasm went from a C to an A++. What? Like... you know, it's bit of an improvement. Now let me hang on. Really quickly here. Let me. Look at this. Okay. Okay, yeah. Berserker exceeds her in endurance, agility, and strength by 1. But loses out everywhere else. In terms of Noble Phantasm and luck, and well, magical energy is the same, but... So... I guess the biggest thing there would be... Saber would actually be able to strategize. Okay. Saber repels Archer's swords without flinching. Archer, the one who attacked, is the one who retreats. The attack made with all his strength. A blow that should not need to be repeated is... Not only is it blocked, but his body loses balance as well. Archer steps back. There. Saber's swords attack him like surging waves of raging fire. Archer can only defend against her attacks. Saber's sword will kill him if he tries to counter. No. First of all, he doesn't have anything to spare for a counterattack. The only resistance Archer is allowed is to block Saber's attacks until he runs out of energy. And that should not take long. The magical energy in Saber's sword scrapes away Concho and Bakuyo with each attack. The twin swords cannot take anymore, and Archer's arms should be powerless by now. The match is settled rather quickly. Archer falls to one knee, unable to stand against Saber's assault. Saber swings down her sword as if to finish him off. Archer blocks it by crossing his twin swords in front of him. The battle is at an end. Even though he blocked Saber's blow, Archer cannot move. Saber's swords will split his head in two if he loses his power on the twin swords. Archer puts power into his arms to stop Saber's blow. Sweat forms on his forehead, and he's breathing hard. In contrast, Saber's breathing is normal. It is impossible for Archer to beat Saber in hand-to-hand combat.
ここまでです、アーチャー。先ほど私の身を案じていましたが、それはあなたにも言えることだ。キャスターを倒すためにあれだけの宝具を使った今、魔力は残り少ないはずです。加えて、この世にとどまるためのマスターもいない。魔力の供給もままならない今のあなたに何ができる？
それこそ余計な世話だ、セイバー。アーチャーのサーバントにはマスターがおらずとも単独で存在する能力がある。マスターを失ったとしても2日は存命できよう。それだけあればあの小僧を仕留めるには十分だ。
バカな、まだそんなことを言うのですか？あなたの望みは聖杯ではなく白を殺すことだとでも。
Archer doesn't answer. His cold eyes stare at the troubled Saber.
なんということ。アーチャー、あなたの望みは間違っている。なぜそのような結末を望むのですか？そんなことをしてもあなたは
will not be saved. Saber bites her lips and stops herself from saying so.
間違えているか。
The muscles in Archer's arms bulge. He looks at Saber once.
それはこちらのセリフだ、セイバー。君こそいつまで間違った望みを抱いている。
He says so with eyes staring far away.
アーチャー。
Saber's sword loosens up. Using that opening, Archer gets up and kicks Saber with his freed leg. Even though she's knocked back, Saber lands gracefully. The situation hasn't changed at all. Saber's protecting me and facing Archer, who has Tosaka trapped within a cage of swords behind him. The distance between them is 5 meters again.
分かりきっていたことだが、やはり剣技では及ばぬか。
The twin swords disappear, and he confronts Saber unarmed.
アーチャー、剣を捨てたということは、戦いを収める気に。
まさか。君こそ思い違いはよせ。俺はアーチャーだぞ。もとより、剣で戦うものではない。
Yeah, but you're not exactly a traditional archer either. With those words,
I'm the bone of my soul.
He begins the spell in a voice I can't hear.
やめろ、アーチャー。私は、あなたとは。
セイバー、いつか、お前を解き放つ者が現れる。それは今回ではないようだが、おそらくは次も、お前と関わるのは、私なのだろうよ。
What does this mean? We have a connection with you again next time. That's so specific. Huh.
Unknown to death, unknown to life.
His spell echoes through the temple. There's no change. A long spell like that should affect the surroundings. Magic influences the world. But his spell does not affect the world, but instead...
だが、それはあくまで次の話。今の俺の目的は、エミやシロを殺すことだけだ。それを阻むのならば、この世界は、お前が相手でも容赦はせん。
He raises his left arm. Does that complete his spell?
Unlimited blade works.
He clearly speaks out and changes the world. Fire runs. It runs across the floor and looks like a white line. Is the surrounding fire a boundary line? The color of fire fills my vision and paints the temple. After that, my surroundings are replaced by this strange world. I don't know, did it... His hair, like, unslicked back. I don't think it did this in this part in the anime. I know it does it at the very end when he disappears after saying goodbye to Rin and telling her to take care of Shiro. But I don't remember it doing it here in the anime. Pain fills my brain. I can tell. I understand what this magic is. What this absurdity is. I shouldn't be able to understand. But I can tell what this is whether I want to or not. And that makes my brain boil. In short, this is a steel manufacturing factory. Not wrong. Burning fire and turning cogwheels. A field of swords without owners extends to the horizon of the desert. All the swords in the ground are famous. Kancho and Bakuya originally came from this world. an almost infinite projection of weapons. Innumerable weapons make this place seem like a waste yard. The knight in red reigns at the center of this kingdom of rubble. The confused voice is Saber's. Inside the illusionary fire that's not even hot, she watches the knight in blank amazement.
固有結界。心象世界を具現化して現実を侵食する大禁獣。つまりあんたは剣士でもなければ弓兵でもなくて。
そう、生前英霊となる前は魔術師だったということだ。
Tosika sounds disinterested. Could it be? Did she already know Archer's true identity? Yeah.
ではアーチャー、あなたの宝具は？
そんなものはない。私は聖剣も魔剣も持ってなどいなかったからな。俺が持ち得るのはこの世界だけだ。宝具が英霊のシンボルだというのなら、この魔術こそが俺の宝具。武器であるのならば、オリジナルを見るだけで複製し貯蔵する。それが俺の英霊としての能力だ。
Oh, it's pretty impressive. Saber gasps. She looks with blank amazement at the extending graveyard of swords on the desert. The ashen sky and steel wasteland, devoid of all life.
これがあなたの世界だというのか、アーチャー。
そうだ。試してみても構わんぞ、セイバー。お前の聖剣、確実に複製してみせよ
う。私の聖剣、その正体を知って言うのか、アーチャー。
Yeah, because assuming every other event of his thing is the same as Shiro's regular fate, rather than getting with you, that would mean not just Excalibur. He can make the original one, your first one. That would be pretty bad for you, wouldn't it?
もちろん。あれほどのものになると完全な複製はできぬが、真に迫ることはできる。となればどうなる？聖剣同士が衝突した時、周りの人間は生きていられるか
な？アーチャー、あなたは。
そういうことだ。間違っても聖剣を使うな、セイバー。使えば俺も抵抗せざるを得ない。
ね。
その場合、消えるのは我々ではなく周りの人間だ。
Well, you probably would too, because of how much power you'd have to use, but you know.
お前のことだ。自身を犠牲にしてもそこの小僧を守るだろう。俺とて聖剣など投影しては自滅する。となれば生き残るのは一人だけ。それではあまりにも意味がない。
Archer raises his left arm. The swords behind him float up one by one.
抵抗はするな。運が良ければ即死することもない。ことが済んだ後、お前のマスターに癒してもらえ。
Archer points to Saber. The numerous swords point towards Saber. All of these weapons are sure to kill.
かわすのもいいが、その場合、背後の男は諦めろ。
Yeah, those aren't gonna be the scenarios that happen, Archer. And he gives the command. The numerous swords are shot. Saber doesn't move. She confronts them, intending to deflect all the weapons using her sword, even prepared for her own death.
Torres.
I can't think because of my headache. My magic star can only handle one more projection. My insides are burned up and almost melted. But such concerns vanished when I saw this world. Before I realize it, I've jumped up, run to Saber, and am glaring at the annoying swords.
Shiro, ダメだ、早く!
I don't care. For now, the oncoming 18 swords, analysis of all of them cannot be completed with my eyes alone, so my senses run wild and go past the fastest speed, go faster and faster and faster. They approach. Something like a caulking hammer goes down in my head.
Fusaki.
I stick out my left arm. I have no doubts. I've copied him so many times. If there's nothing wrong with the theory. There's no way I can't reproduce the rain of swords in front of me. Broken pieces fly around. When I open my eyes, his reality marble has disappeared. The only things there are the broken pieces of swords and... Yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. A hellish nausea as if my organs have come up to my throat. That's not good. After glaring at me in disgust, he takes out Tosca from the cage of swords and restrains her. Tosca struggles to get away from Archer. What did he do? Archer places his hand on Tosca's neck and renders her unconscious. And he leaves the temple. With Tosca in his arms, Archer jumps up to the stairs leading up.
どこに行く気です、アーチャー。
これ以上邪魔の入らないところだ。俺は今ので魔力切れだしな。お前に守られた小僧を仕留めるだけの力はない。
Okay. リンを連れて行くのは人質ですか？
いや、交換条件だ。これが俺の手元にある限り、そこの小僧は俺を追わざるを得まい。
Yeah, I guess that's the, yeah.
リンはお前のマスターになった。いかにお前が小僧を守ろうと、マスターの命には変えられまい。
I bear my nausea. I strain my fainting mind and listen to what he has to say. And I say so with a shaking throat, not even able to look up.
何？
だから郊外の森だ。そこに使われていない城がある。あそこなら誰にも迷惑はかからない。
城？
俺に文句があるんだろう。いいぜ、聞いてやる。言いたいことがあるのはこっちだって同じなんだ。
My vision flickers. Even as I speak, I feel sick, as if in another dimension.
郊外の森。そうか。アインツベルンの城があったな。
Yep.
確かに。あの城ならば邪魔は入らない。いい覚悟じゃないか、エミヤシロ。
Yeah, he gets it from somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere. Maybe the same place as you.
うるさい。そんなことより。
I don't want to hear meaningless things. Oh, right, no, he says it's a Saber where he's like, right. He says to Saber. I think I always knew he was, right. For some reason, I remembered this being Ren. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
それまで遠坂に手を出してみろ。
Oh, no, yeah.
その時はセイバーの手を借りてでもお前を殺してやる。
I make this oath. I violently scratch my forehead, tearing off the skin in an attempt to silence my headache.
よかろう。場所を指定した見返りだ。一日は安全を保証してやる。
Okay.
だが急げよ。マスターがいない今、俺とて時間がない。この身は2日と持たぬだろう。その前にお前を殺せないとあらば、腹いせに人質を手にかけかねんからな。
See, this here, I'm almost positive it's just him trying to provoke Shiro. I honestly don't think Archer would kill her. At least I would hope. I would sincerely hope he wouldn't. Leaving an annoying laugh, Archer disappears. I slump to the floor, unable to keep my eyes on him.
シロ、無茶をして、いくらあなたでもアーチャーと同じ投影をするのは早すぎます。
An arm comes and supports me as I start to fall.
ごめんな、セイバー。遠坂取られちまった。
I suppressed my headache and managed to get up.
シロ、それはいいのです。リンは無事だ。アーチャーもリンには手を出さないでしょう。それより今はあなたの方が危ない。リンのことは私に任せて、シロは家で休息を取るべきです。
Saber, you should know better than anyone that he can't do that.
いや、そんな暇は。
I try to finish, but I start to faint. Damn. Can't even complain, huh?
話は後で聞きます。今はあなたを家に連れて帰る。いいですね、シロ。
I don't even get to object. Saber supports me and starts to walk to the stairs. You know, hang on. There's one thing that's been bothering me. And I think I know what it is. Hang on. FSN, UBW, Anime, Saber, Image. Yeah, this is the ufotable one, I think, right? Yeah. One thing that's... No, I guess not. That's weird. For some reason... I'll keep that image up to the side, but... There was something that was bothering me. The sky is still gray. We leave the now empty church. Did you just watch Archer leave here with Ren? Then I see a familiar spearman in front of me. I guess he didn't want to risk killing Ren since Archer was holding her. That's fair. Also, hang on. I thought her clothes get destroyed when she summons her armor, and she has to get new ones. I could have sworn that's how they said it works. So how does she... Okay. Saber glares at him while supporting me. She's so tense that she might slash him if he takes another step.
いや、違うんだ、セイバー。あいつは俺たちの手助けをしてくれた。
は、ランサーがシローに協力したというのですか？
ああ、そうだ。できれば今は戦わないでくれ。
Saber stares at Lancer in astonishment. It seems he's enjoying Saber's reaction. I mean, again, you know, he is a hero. Like.
それはわかりましたが、なぜですランサー？あなたがシローたちに協力するなど何か企みがあるのですか？
あ？なんだ？バカだろお前。んなもんあるに決まってんじゃねえか。裏で企んでなきゃよその手助けなんかするか。
Yeah, fair enough. That's yeah, good point. I knew he was that kind of guy, but he's thorough as he's making fun of Saber as well.
何がおかしいのです、シロー。
Nothing.
今笑ってたか、俺。
ええ、笑っていました。どうやら私の思い違いだったようですね。笑みがこぼれるほど元気があるのなら、この肩を貸すまでもなかったようですが。
Yeah, fair enough. I don't blame you. It's bad, but I'm relieved. Saber's just like before. Our connection is lost, but she's here just like before. Then, what's there to regret?
悪い、気が緩んだみたいだ。今はそんな場合じゃなかったな。
はい。リンを取り戻すにしても、今は休まなければ。ランサー、何が目的かは知らぬが、もはや用は済んだのだろう。ならばされ。私も、今はあなたとは戦わない。
I'm still sad that Lancer never really, like, yeah, he plays a bit of a role in this, but like, he doesn't really get to, like, a front-running role in any of the routes, which is sad. Like, this is the closest we get. With this, Saber goes down into the clearing.
あ？おい、万事守備よく行ったってわけじゃなさそうだな。何が起きたんだ、オズ？
遠坂がアーチャーに連れて行かれた。これから取り戻しに行くだけだ。
Suppressing my dizziness, I meet his gaze and answer him.
何？おい待て、それはどういうことだ？
You know, I'm sorry, but I don't have any energy left. I'm not able to explain such a long story. I should go home and.
アーチャーの目的はシロを殺すことです。そのために私のマスターとなったリンをさらい、交換条件としてシロに一騎打ちを命じました。一日中にアーチャーの元に行かなければ、リンの安全は保証しないそうです。
Well, it helps me out if you can do the explaining, but it does nothing to explain the situation to Lancer.
やろう、やりやがったな。
Then, he takes off his friendly face and grits his teeth.
ランサー？
つまりあれか、あの野郎、一度ならず二度までお嬢ちゃんを裏切ったってわけか。
Yep.
ええ、そういうことになりますが、それがどうしたと？
Why does Saber have so little faith in the pride and honor of a hero? She even knows who he is. Like, she should know that he would despise that.
どうしたじゃねえ。くそ、気が変わった。手助けするのはこれっきりだったがな。もう少し付き合わせろ。このままじゃ寝覚めが悪い。
Because, like, okay, like, if she didn't if she somehow did not figure out who he was when he used Gaibolg on her, right? Then I guess I understand. But, like, knowing the kind of hero he was, or I guess maybe they only have the knowledge to the point of knowing their weakness and strengths. Maybe they wouldn't necessarily. I don't know. It just seems odd that Saber wouldn't trust him. I don't know. Saber watches Lancer silently. I understand how she feels. He's saying that he'll come with us.
参った。素人リンはどんな魔術を使って彼を味方に引き入れたのです。
He liked her in. I don't know. Saber sounds more shocked than amazed. Unfortunately, I don't have the energy to reply, as my wounds are starting to hurt again. No, first of all, I'm the one who wants to ask that question. Yeah,